Hi guys, thank you for supporting Keep Inspired Curated Art Kits. Today we're going to show you a video tutorial done by Julius for his artwork called White Christmas. This is one of our seasonal and limited runs, so please make sure you finish this before the holidays for gifting. Before we begin, please make sure that you have all your materials ready, which comes complete in the kit that you have purchased. Your paints, your brushes, your palette, and of course the canvas/greeting card. Aside from these, please prepare a container of water for dipping your brushes, a scratch paper where you can swatch the paint, and some napkins for cleaning and drying. Let's begin. Okay, so for paintings like this which involve a landscape, we always begin with the farthest element of the painting. In this case, it's the sky, followed by the mountains, and then the ground. And lastly, we'll be working on the tree, which is the focal point of the artwork. And the final element which we'll be working on would be the snow. So now let's start working on the sky. Okay, so for the sky, let's get a bit of that white and that blue and mix them together with a lot of water. So until we get that consistency that we're looking for, we can go ahead and paint that area. Okay, so let's go ahead and mix more of that sky blue paint and fill in that area. For the sky, try your best to not paint it flat. Try to use cross-hatch strokes to create some texture for that specific layer. So as we move towards the lower portion of the sky, let's add some more white to lighten that part. So let's go ahead with painting that sky part and just painting around the sketch of the tree. So while we wait for that to dry, let's mix in a darker shade of blue, which will serve as a second coating of the sky. And just like what we did with the first layer, let's do some crosshatch strokes with our brushes to create that texture. Also note that it's better to apply the second layer of paint on the sky area while it's a bit wet so that we can blend the colors better. And now let's get some of that crimson and mix it with the existing light blue shade that we have, and the result will be a purple color. Let's now proceed with painting the lower part of that sky area. Now let's mix some of that white to our light blue paint to create the clouds. So always remember that it's easier to blend the paint while it's still a bit wet. So here, as you can see, we're doing some small strokes, blending that middle layer to the purple layer that we've created a while ago. So now let's get some of that pure white paint and directly dab it on the clouds. This will create a highlight. So notice we didn't use any water. Okay, we want it that way. So with the dry brush, we use small strokes to create the highlights on the clouds. And as you can see, the sky and the clouds look more realistic because of that white highlight that we've put on. So next up, we will be working on the snowy mountain. So for this specific layer, we'll be mixing in like a bluish gray tone. So we'll get some of the blue, some green, some brown, and just mix it all together with some water. And let's add a bit more white to lighten the color a bit. So once we get that perfect mix, let's go ahead and paint onto the canvas. Notice this is a mountain, so it's not really flat and straight. There must be irregular strokes, and we're not following a straight line. So let's move on to the next portion of that section by adding some more white. Remember, when we move downward, the elements must become lighter. So remember, we're just blending in the next layer onto the previous layer, which is still kind of wet, and we're using crosshatch strokes. So right now you can see Julius mixing in some white to the previous paint that we've used, and he dabs that onto the top layer of the snowy mountain to create that illusion of snow. So using horizontal, irregular strokes, he creates that highlight on top of that distant snowy mountain. So now let's get some of those colors that we've mixed. The goal is to create a light bluish gray. So we're adding more white again to the paint mix to make it lighter, because like we said a while ago, as we move downward to the bottom part of the painting, the elements become lighter. And note that the mountains can't be brighter than the sky. And now for the snowy ground, we will be combining some white, some blue, and a bit of yellow. So once we get that light blue shade we're looking for, we can go ahead and paint it onto the postcard. So let's proceed by doing the cross-hatching technique. So that cross-hatching technique will create more texture for the painting. So using the plain white paint, let's go ahead and paint that onto the foreground, creating that layer of snow. So he'll be using a cross-hatching technique still. So once that uneven layer of snow is created, let's just wait for a bit to dry it out, and let's rinse our brushes. So now it's time to work on the tree. We will be mixing in a really deep green, so we're gonna combine some blue, some green, and some brown. So still using the flat brush, we can go ahead and slowly work our way from top to bottom of the tree. Notice that he's using just the edge of the brush and lightly using small strokes to fill out that tree. So here he is using light, jagged, and irregular strokes on the canvas, and this actually creates the illusion of the protruding leaves on the tree. So still using the same color, we are working our way from top to bottom using the cross-hatching technique. So let's let it dry for a bit and rinse our brush. So now it's time to mix a lighter shade of green. Let's go ahead and blend in some green, some yellow, some white, and a bit of blue. So now let's imagine that we are painting the tips of the leaves with a lighter shade of green. So with just light strokes, light dabs on the tree, we get to achieve that illusion. And now to add some snow effect on the tree, let's mix in a lighter shade of green, by this time adding a light blue paint mixture that we did a while ago to the current green that we used. So with that, using the edge of the flat brush, go ahead and do some pointillism to create that snow effect on the tree. So using that flat brush, we work our way from top to bottom, creating that beautiful texture on the tree. So at this point, let's grab our pointed brush and dip it in white paint. So we will be adding some snow accents on the tree. So notice how Julius just randomly dabs onto the tree. It's not a uniform looking pattern, but rather he does like a random thing to make it look more natural. So this time, let's mix in a bit of blue to create a light blue shade and continue with doing the snow effect on the tree. Now let's try doing that from the top, going towards the bottom of the tree. So guys, you're not supposed to be filling the entire tree with snowflakes. All you have to do is do some random strokes of big and small dots to make it look more natural. Notice that we're still using the light blue paint here. So later on, we'll be using white to highlight it more. So now it's time to rinse our brush again. And let's go ahead and get that pure white paint to add onto the tree. So this time we'll use some big and small dots. Let's scatter them all over the tree and not create a uniform pattern. Okay, so once we're done with the tree, we can go on and create more highlights on the foreground. Let's add in some more white to create that illusion of snow. Okay, so this looks kind of done, but actually we're not yet done, okay? We will be adding in some more distant trees, which are at the background. So let's mix in some blue and some green. And then here you can see we came up with a dark teal color. And still using the pointed brush, let's go ahead and paint the distant tree. So using cross-hatching strokes, let's start forming the tree. And now let's create another one, but this time a bit lighter. So let's add some white and some blue to the current paint mix that we just did. So let's make it smaller than the previous one, which will make it appear to be farther. And using the same color, let's do a smaller tree, but this time it will appear farther than the other two that we've already painted. And finally, let's add in a smaller one, just right beside this previously painted one. So now that we are done with the distant trees, let's move forward with the snow. So let's get some of that white paint, mix it onto our existing light blue paint to create a lighter sky blue. So let's go ahead and dab that onto the canvas. Let's start off with small dots, just randomly dabbing. If you think your paint is becoming too dry, just add a bit of water. So still with the same color and still with the pointed brush, let's try to add some snow in the sky area. Okay, so this time you'll notice we're making bigger dots. So if you feel the need to add a bit more, let's say more smaller snowflakes, just go ahead and use that pure white paint. Alright, so we are done with this painting and we have once again finished an artwork. This one is again called White Christmas by Julius Segaspi for Keep Inspired Curated Art Kits. Thank you so much for joining us for our session today. Don't forget to upload your work and tag us. And follow us on our social media pages. For Facebook and Instagram, it's at keepinspired.artkits. So thank you, and we hope we are keeping you guys inspired.